I've sat, I've reflected, I've thought in my heart of hearts, and I have come to a conclusion. What's up, guys? Nigga with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do mean to have it on and keep it on me at all times. Another fun fact, yeah! You know what time it is? It's time for me to tell you my thoughts on the France game of Peak Lava. Specifically, France versus Japan. I feel like calling it well in advance is kind of out. Round one? We kind of need to get a run back in this. I don't know. But I have 15 minutes to give you my thoughts on the entirety of this game. So let's not waste too much more time. Let me get this 15-minute timer going and let's get moving. So, obviously, France versus Japan came to an end in chapter 347. It was a 2-4 game, leading to the absolute evisceration and annihilation of bluelock. Bada bing, bada boom. Now, on the foundational levels, if I'm talking about foundation, France won, Japan lost. I like it. I think it's good. I think it's delicious. I think it's rumdelicious. I, like many others, when this game was not even like theorized or speculated, when this game was announced, I was sitting here like, nah, I'm sorry, Japan. Y'all cool, y'all next level, y'all legendary, y'all jack, y'all juicy. I need y'all to lose for me, though. And thankfully, it seems like the Cavs got the memo and did end up losing. So, on the foundational levels, I'm happy with the result of the game. I've seen mixed feelings, especially with how the game itself played out. I've seen some people really actually don't like that Japan ended up losing. They really wanted a tie or something of the sort. This, then, the third. But no, on the foundational levels, I do like that Japan lost. That's good. That's how it should have gone. These are the strongest two teams of the U20, dare I say, question mark, exclamation point. And very specifically, France was hyped up to be the strongest of the next generation with Loki and then Hugo. This is the only team we've ever seen with 2 new Gen 11 members on it. Yeah, no duh. It definitely needed to be dumb, stupid, crack. They need to win. So on that front, I'm happy. I'm cool. I'm clean with it. But of course, we do need to stop talking about the foundation. We need to get into the specifics and how I feel about that. And I'm going to start with nothing but straight, glorious, juicy, jacked grays. Because I actually really like how the internals of the game went on a micro level. I initially wasn't like fully leaning and rocking with it. You can see this throughout the reviews. I was like, oh, like I see the vision, but at the same time I kind of don't. I kind of like it. But after reflection and after time passing, my once like iffy feelings have solidified into something leading more positive. I think almost every character who gets any sort of slight focus in the game is utilized really well. Obviously, I'm going to talk about Isagi in a second, don't worry. But even characters like Hiyori, characters like Reo, characters like even these background side characters that I don't remember the name of, and I never will because I don't care, are all used well. This is a game that really strips out the pieces of what bluelock and France are as teams and slams them against each other over and over and over again to create a really consistently engaging game. And I think that's the more important thing. As much as I wasn't like rocking with it and leaning with it, if you will, for a majority of its actual goings on, I can say this definitively. There was never a chapter where I was genuinely disengaged throughout the entire run. Like, legitimately, every single chapter had some form of gas, some form of mania, some form of putting characters in positions to keep me locked into the narrative itself and believe the hype and the stakes of the game. Now, macro narratively, that's a different story, but specifically I'm talking about the micro right now, and every character gets good use. Now, is every character used perfectly? No, but we're going to get into that in a little bit because, like I said, I'm leaning towards the positive glaze aspect. So on the macro, we'll get to that. But in the micro, every character is used relatively well. I like how Shido gets hyped up in glaze. I like how Charles is utilized. Even though, admittedly, it does feel like he wasn't allowed to be utilized as much because of Hugo. But obviously, Hugo is the main character of this game. He did need to get all the screen time he could get. Karasu is immaculately utilized throughout the game. I'm going to completely... I have to make a separate Karasu Glaze video at this point. I feel like I wasn't a ball knower. Episode Nagi should have got me ready, but I wasn't really a Karasu ball knower like that. So I'm happy that bluelock versus Japan did actually manage to get me there. Loki, I'm more okay than I'm not, right? Like unfortunately, the pencil curse strikes again, where I can't stay mad for very long. And as much as I kind of don't like how Loki was utilized in the game, in the sense of like I feel like he was simultaneously overutilized to the point where it feels like his narrative and macro narrative is underutilized. How he's played in the game is fine. He gets 2 goals. I believe he's responsible for literally the other 2 goals in terms of like, distracting other players. He has a fantastic gravity to him. Ultimately, it's cool to see him go into flow a whole lot and to go around and style out. It's great to get even his history and his backstory a little bit. Like, hey, obviously we didn't get a full Loki backstory. We still don't know everything about him. We just have the extra volume information. But his integration into Hugo's backstory, how he plays into the themes of destiny and very specifically egotism, and how he literally is a perfect blend of both as a striker who is suitable in every single way for suitable destiny, while at the same time being a very powerful egotist. Loki is used well. He's expanded on as a character quite well. As much as I did like Justice League Loki, and I even liked Loki before that, I liked him in episode Nagi, I liked him in the World 5 match. Ultimately, I think this game really establishes who Loki is as a character more solidly, and seeing his weaknesses and his fallibility actually did make me like the character more than I think I originally did. I think it is really a case of Loki the concept versus Loki the character, and I like the character more. I think I was just getting really hung up on the concept and how much I felt like he didn't really fit it in terms of how this game was versus what was being said during the game. Speaking of positives, I like that Isagi sucked. I'm gonna say it. I like that he was buns. I like that Isagi ultimately had to throw everything else away because he was so buns he had to give it up on luck. He had to gamble all on luck. He said that 1% chance. Yeah, I need that. That's the only way I could challenge Hugo. And Hugo specifically is like, I mean, shoot, man. I guess we could do it like this. And then they actually go into a lot. I love how Isagi just isn't a character in this game. I mean, obviously he is a character in the game, but he's specifically reduced to nothing after becoming number 1, right? He is made into a 0 from number 1, the inversion of making a 0 into 1. It's so juicy, so good, so delicious, and I love it. Like I said, always throughout the game and throughout every other series I review, I love it when my main characters struggle, when they suffer, when they fail due to their own beliefs or their lack of firmness in their own beliefs, or very specifically external factors. And let me talk about Rin. On the micro, I know a lot of people are gonna be like, you must not really like how Rin was utilized in this game. No, I like that too. If you don't know, but I feel like if you've been around the channel for a little bit, you may know I'm not necessarily the biggest Rin fan out there. I'm more so, funnily enough, very akin to like the Loki concept versus character thing. I acknowledge the concept of Rin. I acknowledge the character of Rin. I acknowledge that they're both very well integrated into the narrative, and bluelock simply would not function without that character. But like, no beans, no buns. I don't really care for Rin as a character. So I'm glad that he did nothing. I'm glad that he was a failure. I'm glad that he was a bum. I'm glad that even the other number 1 of bluelock was reduced to 0. And reduced to 0 so hard, he fumbled and actually got them to lose the game they could have tied. All of that is really, really good. And now, of course, since I'm talking about, well, let me give my little extra bit of credit and glaze the 2 other characters who are definitely important in terms of like what they do. So I won't completely glaze over them before I get into the main aspect of the game that I like so much and has shot the game up for me a whole lot. Like initially I was like, I don't even think it's in my top 5, but then I saw a lot of people put it in their top 5, and I was thinking about it a bit more. So who knows where my thoughts are now? You'll find out. But Baro and Shido, well utilized. I already talked about Shido a little bit. He didn't really get to do much outside of like get glazed and devoured, but still that's something. But Baro specifically, I love how he feeds into the general narrative interactions of this game, and how he's allowed to sort of do nonsense that you wouldn't really think he should be allowed to do, but he's actually kind of just good like that. He's actually kind of just built like that. So Baro, he gets good too. Like, shock horror, Baro is going to be so much. I'm actually finally seeing the vision on what other people were seeing in Baro, so I'm happy that he got to do things he's going to do. But, naturally, the reason this game, after reflection, after sitting back, after rubbing my temples and truly thinking about it to the utmost of my ability, the reason this game tickles my toes and rubs my nose is because of what it does for the narrative. Now, I'm going to get into a slight negative before I start glazing again. I kind of don't like, and this still hasn't changed. I'm softer on it, because like I said, I can't hold negativity for long, but I'm softer on this idea and how it's executed. I kind of don't like what this game does to egotism as a philosophy, as an ideology. I feel like it boils it down to the most like basic, if you heard about it in a roundabout way, kind of this, that, and the third. That's what it feels like egoism reduced to. And not even just like on how the characters are interpreting. No, even how Ego himself interprets it and how Hugo and Isagi all interpret it. The way egoism is boiled down to just score your own goals no matter what. It feels really dumb. Like, I'm sorry, Nomura. Well, not Nomura. He's the artist. I'm not going to blame him. Sorry, Kaneshiro Sensei. I've read the manga, gosh darn it. I know egoism is more than that. It's about optimization and truly utilizing your maximum self. And on many cases, that doesn't always mean being a striker. Remember Horiori's whole arc in Ubers? Remember Isagi's whole arc in Manshine? Remember at like basically every previous arc before this, which involved the character realizing their true nature, which was sometimes beyond the nature of scoring goals? Not scoring goals. What am I talking about, man? TG? But regardless, putting that to the side, for now, the main reason I'm going to lick this game's toes is very specifically because of Hugo and how he builds the counterbalance. How he builds the counterbalance to the narrative, and specifically the ideas of egoism and egotists in the way of suitable destiny. Now, and very specifically, not just the counterbalance he builds, but the corruption he inspires and festers into bluelock, and the validity that Kaneshiro Sensei went out of their way to give this countering ideology by having it be responsible for every single success bluelock had, while also having egoism very specifically be responsible for every single failure bluelock has. In this game, that commitment to set up a juxtaposed counterbalance to the foundation of your narrative is insane. Like legitimately, I had to sit back and truly think about how much work it would be and how much work it was for Kaneshiro Sensei to establish suitable destiny in the same game, right? Like, we gotta remember, suitable destiny becomes a thing that is set up in the first 3 chapters of the game. And it is risen up to the level to directly compete with egoism and outdo it. And the thing is, as much as I will get on this game's case consistently for like kind of jacking up the macro narrative a little bit, the game being so close does kind of give me awkward vibes, Loki having to do so much does kind of give me awkward vibes, that, and the third, I can push all that aside very specifically for how the commitment to the bit works in terms of giving our cast, giving egoism, giving the story itself something to think about, right? And while I said, and still do believe, that egoism is portrayed in a really weird way in comparison to how the narrative itself had kind of talked about it previously and how it had done it, and ultimately how I feel like the narrative, even during this game, does give a lot of lip service that doesn't actually match what the narrative is showing in cases, such as like Loki's supremacy, possibly even Hugo's supremacy in some cases. Regardless, the dedication to literally make Japan useless without suitable destiny, to have it so that the only way they succeed is by kowtowing and bowing their heads to something else, to do that over 300 and nearly 50 chapters into the narrative, when egoism has been the thing that brought our casting crew this far, having the corruption of a theory that didn't even exist, well, like properly the narrative, you could argue it existed for a while with like the idea of geniuses versus talented learners and stuff like that, but regardless, didn't even exist properly, and having it rise up, instantly infect and corrupt bluelock, and have it be the foundation for their success within the narrative. Oh, it's delicious. It's delicious. And it works so well because of what France was established to be beforehand, what they're established to be in the game, what they're established to be by the end of the game. Yes, obviously, France won. I talk about that being foundational and that being important, and ultimately I couldn't have really rocked with the tie, and I couldn't have really rocked. I definitely wouldn't have rocked with Japan winning, right? No doubt. But very specifically, France, I don't know, especially after the game itself and reading it, does feel like they're meant to be our final bosses. I know many people do want like an upset. Either bluelock doesn't even make it to the World Cup finals. Maybe they get hard stop at Madrid or Spain specifically. Sorry, not Madrid. That's a city in Spain. But they get hard stop at Spain, or maybe Germany comes out and gives bluelock the belt. But regardless, it feels like France is meant to be our final boss. And this does feel like an early encounter with a final or late game boss in a video game, where you can do really, really well, but ultimately you are destined to fail. And very specifically, the way that the narrative leaves our cast after the game, and the ideas that it has left us as a fandom and characters in the narrative with, is why the game has been pushed into my top 3, right? Because even if I do like other games more, they don't fundamentally attack the foundations of our characters, of the system, of the story itself in a way that's so consistently engaging that this game does. Will the U20 match probably still be my favorite game? Yeah. But France has snuck its way up to probably number 3. Lowest it goes is 5. But, like, realistically, off the top of my dome piece right now, it's number 3. Because the game did that so well. And I'm very interested to see the aftermath in a way I definitely wasn't expecting when I first heard this game was going to be next up on the docket after Nigeria. So, ultimately, claps to Kaneshiro-sensei. I have my issues, I have my problems, but you did good. But, speaking of doing good, I am now out of time. So, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, please do me a favor and leave until next time. Yeah, I think that works. Until next time, in the comment section down below. I want to thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that cover the channel. Also even have a Patreon down below. You can support me for as low as $1 a month. You get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Those perks include the live reactions to the season to review, ad variations of all my videos, early ad-free access to all my videos, early ad-free access not just all my videos on the main channel, but all my videos on the second channel. That called reaction, link in the description down below, and the card in the upper right-hand corner. On top of that, I do have a link to my code Fizzly down below, where you can find me for a short video, 20 minutes long video, or any means at all. Any support would always be greatly appreciated. Now, I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And this is that guy with the pencil, writing off. Alright, lady, but thank you to our sketch tier members: Red Wolf 4765, Astro, Glacier XZ, Zera, J2MA, Buddha Ura, Yuki Ally, Grim, Ollie, Corey Watson, Damon Brown, Tim Thomas, Kaving, RXN, Dead Me, Keon Stewart, Edwin Ingbignoba, Straw, Intavius Mitchell, Weary Exile, Alex Kenny, Todd, The Practical One, Landon Clapwick, Heath Nelson, CAET, Plant Crone, Brandon Payne, Multi-Batman Superman, Zalim, Sleep In John, Mo City King DKG, Akolade Babatunde, Union I, Atenzi Shear, Sino King, CCC, Enzo, Kitty Liddy, Axis XZ, Praise the Sun, Magic, Andrine Bonnet, at JDog2656, Sheesh King, AZ Void, Professor Von Tuck III, Nevies97, Black Sage, Sky XT, Felix, The Young Family Pastel Pandora, John Malcolm, Donovan McIntosh, and Black Doctor Strange. Then, let's give a thank you to our line art tier patrons: A+A, Kevin Encarnacion, Lucas Stace, Midnight Lord 21, and Sean. Then, I'd like to give a thank you to our Ink tier member, Shrimpo the Fourth Shrimp 06. I'd like to give another thank you to our digital art tier member, Jay Warrior. I'd like to give a final thank you to our colored art tier patrons, Walking Minnows and Walking